Hey guys, welcome back to Get Into It with Jason Hook, with me, your host, Jason Hook. I'm back. A little bit of a lazy boy break, but that's over. Let's get into it. This is a themed episode. We're going to be talking about something that some people might totally dislike and shut the video off. But we're going to get into some pop punk. And when I say pop punk, I'm not talking about that shit that you heard on the radio in the early to mid 2000s. I'm talking about like the Fat Records Epitaph kind of California sound, which was what I cut my teeth on. When I got into weird music, it was a band we're going to talk about soon, and ska. And there's a ska band, record in this too. So this is a little bit off of what I usually talk about, but whatever. Enjoy it, man. It's what it is. But first, Dead Friend Shop. I've talked about them a million times. Go check out their Etsy page, which I'll link below. With a code GETINTOIT10, you get 10% off. Mugs. Some already pre-made with flyers. If you send him flyers, they'll make them for you. He has some shirts up and different stuff up now. He's got some cool stuff. I think kind of sliding under the radar, guys. Get some cool shit for 10% off. Get into it 10. Also, I just want to plug real quick Boston Hassle. I've been writing articles on there. I think I got 4 up. I have 1 I'm sending out today. I have 4 on the way that I just got to get off my ass and edit together. I did a collab, with Ground Zero Salem a couple weeks ago. That's why I'm kind of behind. But I'm going to link that below. We both went to the same record store with the same amount of money and the same window of time. And I cheated and spent more money because I just, fuck rules, that's punk. But anyways, we talk about what we got. And then I haven't talked about this one in a while, is I have the Facebook group for this channel called the Get Into It Collectors Group or whatever. I'm going to link that down too. If you guys want to join, send an invite to it or send a request. I'm the only admin. It's up and down. This flurries of posts and nothing for a while. I'd like to get more active. It's on me. I haven't been busy, doing dad shit and work. I went back to work last week and sucks. But fuck it. Let's talk about music. What you're hearing is Smackin Isaiah. The best way, let's make sure I say this right. The way to a girl's heart is through her boyfriend's stomach. Smackin Isaiah were a New Bedford pop punk band from the mid 90s up until in the early 2000s they changed their name to a Wilhelm Scream. I feel when they changed their name, I still love the Wilhelm stuff. They started taking the band a little more seriously. They actually got a little more technical. Songs got a little more serious. They toured way more. They started, putting themselves out there. When they were Smackin Isaiah, they were a local band which I saw almost every weekend. A few weeks ago, they played a show. They played 3 days in a row down in New Bedford, which is their home turf. And I went to the last night. And on the last night, it was all chrome, New Bedford's favorite sons. And instead of a Wilhelm Scream, it said Smackin Isaiah, which was interesting. So I went, and they actually repressed this record at that. There's 300 of these, 100 on green, which we were listening to. It's like a sea green, blue sea green. And then 200 on black, all sold out. The 200 sold out through, they sent them to Rev and they sold. I got 1 of each, bro. But they started off their set as Smackin Isaiah. They brought out the original bass player. I think the original guitar player came out. They flew through songs they hadn't played in probably almost 20 years. This came out in 2000, so probably 15 years. And it fucking ruled. And then they did a Wilhelm Scream set after. But what you got here is just some straightforward pop punk. A little more harmonic, a little more like riff driven than the super, simple stuff. Still got kind of like the goofy themes of the songs. There's a song on here where they relate to bowling, life to bowling, which makes perfect sense, which I already played. On this too, it's also got the songs from this split they did, the 666 split, which was a CD, which each band did 6 songs. I think literally only people who live in Massachusetts know about that thing. And then there's a song off of Comp on here. This originally came out on Tank. Purchase Street Records is the one that repressed it. They're a record store down in New Bedford. If you're in the area, you should go check them out. I don't get down there as much as I should, which is weird. It's not hard for me to get there. It's all back roads. New Bedford's a hot spot. It's kind of off the beaten path, but there's a lot of cool shit down there. But anyways, I don't want enough of that. Smackin Isaiah, The Way to a Girl's Heart is Through Her Boyfriend's Stomach. Repress, and that's what we're listening to. I guess they turned into a Wilhelm Scream, so if you guys know them, this is their early days. Like I saw this band all the time. I played like Reflections and stuff. Now, the band that started it all, it was Green Day's Dookie. This record came out in 1994. You see they cut the Ernie out. The original Presence has an Ernie that was in the crowd, and they got busted for having it not, copywritten or something of that nature. This came out on Reprise, Green Day's major label debut. When this came out, I didn't even know. I thought this was the only record they had. I was in what year? 1994. We break down the year. 1994. I was 12. 5th, 6th grade. This record blew the fuck up. Anyone in my age probably knows this. They might not want to admit it, but this record was like the record. You couldn't throw a stone without hearing Green Day on the radio, which this is pre-YouTube and Spotify and all sorts of jazz. So this is what you would hear it on the radio, and it's like, what is this? This isn't like Alice in Chains or Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Candlebox and stuff like that, because that's all you heard. This was just pop punk, East Bay pop punk. Now, I know every single song on here by heart. I can sing along to every single song on here. This record, I know some people might be rolling their eyes, but for me, this record was monumental because it was like, it was different. There's like kind of a lot of things started to fall into place around the time this came out. Like No Effects' Punk and Drublic, which is another band we'll talk about in a minute. You had like The Offspring, stuff just started to kind of sway a certain direction on the radio. And this stuff was huge. We used to sing these songs on the school bus. With the lyrics probably wrong because we didn't know what they were saying. But that's Green Day's Dookie. This is the repress from recently, I want to say within the last year or so. For the first time on vinyl in over a decade, because sound matters from the sticker. But I'm not afraid to admit I love this record. I still listen to it occasionally. I mean, I went a few years. It's not like an everyday play for me, but when a song comes on here, I know it like within the first 2 seconds. Green Day's Dookie. Next we have No Effects' The Longest Line. Fat Records did I believe it might have been Black Friday or a week or so after Black Friday, early December, did a sale where they had 50 to 60% off a lot of stuff in their web store, and I bought a bunch of stuff, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about here, stuff I got from them, because I waited till I get it for on the cheap. But The Longest Line came out in 1992. This, I believe, was El Jefe's first recording with the band, and you can tell El Jefe really brought kind of like an attitude to the band. He kind of brought like an attitude to the band, kind of a sense of humor, but also really like great guitar playing. Let's see, he's right there. There he is right there. I got Fat Mike, mid-90s Fat Mike. This came out before White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, and Punk and Drublic, which were the two records that blew up No Effects for me. I didn't hear this till after I heard those. I don't want to sound like an old man, but that's you just couldn't find this shit. You just couldn't go online and order these records. You had to hunt them out. So this is pretty much the very beginning of that No Effects sound, the East Bay pop punk sound that blew up, around Dookie and all that. 95, 94 is when these records came in. This came in 92. 94, I believe, is when Punk and Drublic came out. 92 was when White Trash came out, and then Green Day, Dookie in 94, and the previous Kerplunk and the previous records, they all kind of 94, 95. This stuff was just whoa, especially in my circle of friends. But you got Kill All the White Man on here, which is probably the most well-known song on here. I'm a big fan of the song Remnants. I mean, the cover art's great on here too. This has been pressed 50,000 times. So I'm sure you can find copies of this in cutout bins or even newer. I don't even know how much I paid for this. Even with the discount, I don't think it was much. But you have some really fucking great art on here. Drinking, Stinking, Never Thinking. Paying a lot of homage to different things there. You got the JFK, the Gore, got Manson, Charlie Chaplin. Look at that Prince of Jimi Hendrix. But anyways, Castro. But Silver Surfer. Alright, that's enough. But you just got it's the beginning of the pop punk sound. This is still a little bit more rough. It's not as polished as the stuff ended up becoming later on, but it's definitely good. And again, same thing with Green Day. I like No Effects, so fuck you. Next, on the same tip, I purchased this a while ago, and I've just been sitting on it. This is the greatest songs ever written. This is it came out in 2004. It's a double LP, just greatest hits collection of NoFX songs up to 2004. This came out on Epitaph. I remember the selling point to this one was like that wore out the soles of my party boots was previously unreleased, so like that was a bonus. I had this on CD for a long time. I only purchased this on vinyl within the last year. It was sitting in a bin. I pretty much own the records a lot of this stuff was on. And also, in my opinion, I know I just said I like NoFX, but this up to this point, every record was just like good. And then they started to kind of take a turn for me personally, where maybe one or two songs or like there's stuff I didn't like. But when this came out in 04, it was, I mean, nothing's better. There's no better collection of tunes up until a point than I believe this for this kind of band. If you guys don't know who NoFX are, or just don't want to listen to NoFX, I definitely just check this out. It's cool. You got all the photos in here, and they got the little like the songs with the years next to them. 2003, the idiots are taking over. The separation of the church and Satan, Franco-Latin American. There's also like just photos, flyers. There's little copies of like reviews, some press photos, some live photos. They look really young. Oh shit, a Billboard one. What on here? NoFX, the Decline EP, number 200. NoFX would like to thank people. I'm trying to read a review here. NoFX, one word comes to mind: crap. If you didn't get it the first time, I'll say it again: crap. If you're really stupid, then for the third time, crap. Just for old time's sake, I'll do it one more: crap. So it's just the reviews of this goes from like when they're really early stuff. I believe it's just black vinyl, so I'll pull one out. This one, they're really early stuff that was not refined at all. To you basically see the band grow into like the melodic pop punk band or punk band or even melodic hardcore band that they became. And the thing about this that's cool too is I think a lot of people just like don't understand how much this band has done or how long they've been around and how much material they actually have put out. 6, 13, 20. There's 27 songs on here total, and just check it. Look at that one. Look at that really early photo of Mike with a charge. These guys were around with all the early the 80s California bands were around. Like this, they've done their time. But enough defending NoFX. It's the greatest songs ever written. It's just the greatest hits. One from 15, 16 years ago now. Fuck, I'm old. Speaking of greatest hits and double LPs, also from the sale, No Use for a Name, all the best songs. There's another one where 7, 14, 21, 28 songs on here. The interesting thing about this was this originally came out in 2007 on CD, and this is a 2016 repress, I believe. Yeah, 2016 repress. They changed the track listing on it. There's some stuff that's not on this that were on the CD, and the stuff on this that weren't on the CD. But No Use for a Name were a California pop punk band. Awesome set, awesome. Inlay here, I'm trying to think. Awesome folder here with all the photos, similar to the NoFX one. Stickers, passes, flyers, photos. This is just black vinyl, so I'll just show one of the things here. So No Use for a Name's greatest record was Making Friends. It's pretty much the best record they ever put out, and if your opinion differs than me, you're completely wrong. Because Making Friends is like the only full length from beginning to end that's great. But so this comes with a little insert here. What you got here is got the original 2007 liner notes. A lot of writing there. You have all the songs here on here, or most of them, 2007 song commentary. So it's got all the songs, got a little story about them. I actually haven't read this because I'm an idiot. But this band was like Making Friends was a very I love that record. Even when I kind of leaned away from like the pop punk in general, I would still listen to Making Friends on semi-regularly because I just think the songwriting is great on it. I think the song titles are great. I know the songs like 2 seconds into them. Again, I can tell what exactly the songs are, and I can sing along to every word. But I had a chance to see No Use for a Name a few years. you know, the singer Tony Sly passed away unexpectedly. I don't even know. It seems like it was like a couple years ago, but I think it's been longer than that. A few months before he passed, I was in Vegas for punk rock bowling, and these guys played, and for some strange reason I didn't go. I think I might have been drinking too much, or I was just tired. And he passed away, you know, within like half a year after that. And to this day, it's one of my biggest regrets is skipping that, because I believe they were playing all the old songs from like the Making Friends era, which I would have lost my mind. But it's a California pop punk band. They got that sound. You dig NoFX. Somebody said it's like a less humorous NoFX. I can kind of buy into that description a little bit. Thanks, Pat. But yeah, it's straight pop punk. There's some songs here like a little bit more deeper, like International U Day is a great song. Justified Black Eye is a big favorite of mine. I like The Biggest Lie. Soulmate's awesome. Not Your Saver, Straight from the Jacket. It's just, the answer's still no. It's just Chasing Rainbows. It's just catchy pop punk songs are on here. These guys, similar to NoFX, were also around for a really long time before they kind of morphed into the sound which they're known for. They were on Slap-A-Ham at one point. No Use was a completely different band almost. Kept the name. Chris Dodge was in No Use for a hot second too. But yeah, it's No Use for a Name, all the best songs, a 2 LP, greatest hits. Again, like same thing with NoFX. If you guys have never really dabbled in these bands, I highly recommend these 2 double LP sets. You can get them for cheap. They're not that expensive for double LPs. And this will pretty much give you almost a good idea of what they're going to sound like before you dive deeper into the catalog. All right, next we have Dillinger 4 Civil War. This came out in 2008, and this was Dillinger 4's first LP in probably, I think, 6 years up to that point. I don't think they've done anything since. They haven't. Dillinger 4 are a band from Minneapolis, Minnesota, or St. Paul, I believe. Might be St. Paul. They've been around for a really long time. Not a really long time. I'm completely wrong about that. They've been around for a while. Their early records are really were staples. They kind of, I don't know if they broke up per se, but they went on a hiatus, and this came out in 2008. I remember there was a lot of buzz about this when it was coming out, because people were real curious of what it's going to sound like. And I have some friends who don't like it at all. I think it's still in the same vein of Dillinger 4. I enjoy it as much as I enjoy anything Dillinger 4 has done. I don't really see the glaring difference, but I have friends who just pretend this record doesn't exist. Excuse me. Now, so Dillinger 4, some people say pop punk. I think they're way more dirty sounding, and the vocals are way more gruff. Are way more gruff sounding. There's 2 vocals on here. They trade off, but they're definitely not melodic in a way. It's I can see someone who's never heard it before being like completely turned off by it, but I love it. This band also loves using sound bites too. This was another Fat Records sale. Is this upside down? Yeah. This is another Fat Records. I love this song. This is another Fat Records sale record again. I had this on CD. I remember I pre-ordered it. I might have pre-ordered this from Interpunk when it came out instead of Fat, which I don't know why I would do that. But anyways, maybe they had a patch or something. I can't find the CD. It's long gone. But we had 13 songs on here. Typical long player, fast, sound bites for a couple, gruff, distorty music, gruff vocals, not really harmonetic. Is that a word? Thinking about Haymanetics, it's a company around here. But again, I dug this record, and I think people who give it a bad rap are just kind of being dorks. But that's Dillinger 4 Civil War. And they have readily available. I think there's a bunch of color. Fat Records has really dove into the color vinyl world, like a little bit too much in my opinion. Like everything's rare color now. So I think you can find a regular version of this on the cheaps. If not, just check it out. Check out everything they've done. Let's do it in order, and then tell me if you like this, okay? If you've never heard Dillinger 4 or never thought about listening to them, look up the discography, listen to the first record, spend some time, do it at work, do it while you're driving, and then listen to this and tell me if you think it's not as good. I don't know. I don't get how people are kind of bummed about it. I think they're trying hard to be upset. Next, I have a newer band. This is Pears, Green Star. Pears are a band from New Orleans. This came out in 2016. This came out in 2016. This band is a real interesting mix of different stuff. There's melody, there's like kind of a pop punk harmony, there's laser lightning fast parts and songs. Some songs have breakdowns in them as well. You might be listening to this and thinking like that doesn't work. It does for this. These guys make it work. I originally saw them as when I saw them in the dark. Like, I'd never listened to anything. They actually played with a Wilhelm Scream a few years ago. This was before this came out, maybe 2014, maybe early 2015, and I was blown away. Like, a great live show, great live set. The singer is very, very active on stage. You can tell he's feeling every word of what he's singing. The band was tight as hell, and I was hooked. No pun intended again. Since that day. And then, so this was their newest LP. I believe they might have put out a split and maybe a couple of EPs after this. But it's another Fat Records release. Again, also readily available. I waited because I could get it for sale. This kind of looks like the Uniform Choice Center label. No insert on here, but definitely a weird mashup. But definitely an interesting band. A very, very interesting band that I think could kind of play to different audiences. That if you're super, super against like melodic pop punk, you might like, you'll probably dig this. If you don't like fast stuff and like stuff more, they kind of take the best of everything and mix it together, and it works. I know everything I said probably just sounds like word salad to you, but it definitely works, and I recommend checking this band out. But that's Pears, Green Star. I'm gonna jump up and flip the record, and then we're gonna move on. We're almost done, guys. Almost done. Center hole of this thing is tiny. I fucking hate that. Got this Antidote shirt I found. I believe I got it right before my son was born, and it got lost in the pile of stuff and babies being born. I just found it the other day. Definitely never worn. It's got the new t-shirt smell. All right, next. Iron Sheik. The constant one. This came out on Bridge 9 Records in 2013. This band's out of New York. This is another band that I saw the name everywhere and I never listened to. And then I saw them open for Propaganda probably 2 years ago, and I was like, I'm literally the dumbest person in the universe for not checking this shit out. Like, I would say this is more melodic hardcore than pop punk. If you take stuff like Kid Dynamite and Lifetime, this is for you. You probably already know that because you guys probably already listened to this band 1,000 times and own everything they had. I've now since gone out and maybe pretty much gotten the whole catalog. A couple things I don't have. Got the center labels there. I love the art on this too. And I think this record's going to morph into kind of a thing for me because when the first week or so I was home with my son, we brought him home from the NICU. This record was on my turntable. I just kept on listening to it. I wouldn't change it. So I was kind of sitting right here, this little chair here you guys can't see, and I was like holding him. I had this down low. I wasn't blowing his brain ears out with it. But I was kind of just listening to this record, like kind of, feeding him and playing with him and seeing if I can, talking to him like he's my age because I'm weird like that. But anyways, this is the insert here. Get your lyrics on this side. So I think this band is still, I saw them a few years ago. I didn't bother to look up if they're still active or when they're last. They actually, they put out a record last year, I believe. But I'm very, very into this LP. I can't recommend this enough for people who just want to kind of dabble away from I still listen to like dumb hardcore that's ignorant, heavy, and simple and noisy, but every once in a while I actually I like to dabble in the melody, bro. Like I like to just dip my toe in the ocean of something that might be a little more soft. And this stuff is just great. But that's Iron Sheik, the constant one. Can't recommend this. Go check it out. Go buy it from Bridge 9. Next, we're gonna play something that I'm gonna show something that everyone's gonna probably hate for the most part. This is Catch-22, Keys Be Nights. Catch-22 are a ska band out of New Jersey. This came out in 1998 on Victory Records. When this came out in 1998, I was definitely leaning far away from. I kind of made a giant leap away from ska, which I was listening to all the time. Like, it was pop punk and ska. Fat, Epitaph, Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, stuff of that nature. Another band I'll mention in a minute. So I kind of ignored this because I was like, Man, I'm a Punk. Because I like, I bought an Unseen CD or a Casualties record. And I was dumb. Because this is actually a really great record. I know if you don't like ska, you might not dig this. I know some of you guys will secretly like this or secretly like this, but you don't want to talk about it. But it's just ska punk. It's third wave ska punk. In the same ilk of all that stuff that was around then, the LTJs and the, our Real Big Fish and stuff of that nature. This is probably like a later pressing of this. This is not an original press. I bought this for sale in a markup in at Newbury Comics. That you insert here. The greatest line on here I've ever read is from the song "Christina Didn't Know I Exist." Is 1/17/98. It's been a day that I've come to hate. As I walked in the video store, there she stood as my jaw fell to the floor, tapping her toe, waiting in line with a movie with some other guy. I mean, how 1998 is that? How 1988 ska band are those lyrics? But yeah, this is just like the third wave ska punk, which I will always have a soft spot for. I can't believe I waited so long to listen to this band, or I had to listen to this record in general. I had like the 7-inch that looks like it looks like it's like a laundry detergent ad. But this was, on Victory Records of all things too, which was like kind of out there for the time. $9.99. But that's Catch-22, Keysby Nights. I know I might be saying that wrong. New Jersey ska punk. Check it out. What I did too for this episode that's a little bit different than the other ones is like I did a Spotify playlist with almost everything on it, maybe except for the Smackin Isaiah record, which isn't on Spotify. So I think I'm gonna do that from here on out. Is just post Spotify playlists and then what's not on Spotify, I'll do as a YouTube link. Let me know what you guys think about that, if it's a good or bad idea. But speaking of 90s, 2000s ska, there's a band called Slapstick, which I loved, which broke up, and and dudes went to form this band, the Lawrence Arms. One guy went on to be an Alkaline Trio, I believe the Impossibles. The band broke up to just split off into all these other bands that have been long-running bands since then. This is a copy of Ghost Stories. This is a 27. It's a weird, interesting story about this, which I'll tell in a minute. So this is number 28 out of 84. These covers are from the second press. I wrote this down so I remember. This record came out in 2000. These covers are from the second press. The vinyl is from the fifth pressing. The fifth pressing of this record was just random colors. They found the covers, numbered them. They had extra vinyl. They threw together this numbered to 86 version. I bought this from a friend of mine, Brian, from a fantasy football Axe to Grind group. What's up, bro? I don't even know if you watch my videos, but I'm showing this off. He actually mailed this to someone else by accident. I just got over it. But this came out on Asian Man Records. Lawrence Arms are a band from out of Chicago. Again, the term pop punk's thrown around. It's not the syrupy pop punk. The singer definitely has like a gruffy, not usual delivery of vocals. The music's a little bit more fed, not as polished. I really, really enjoy this band. Trying to find something on here. The singer is also the man behind Nihilist Arby's, the Twitter account, if you guys know that. I'll leave that for you to figure out. But this is the Lawrence Arms. This is Ghost Stories. This is like a random... This is a 2017 press made of components of previous pressings. Check that out. Check it out. Next I have... This came out on Record Store Day recently. This is the Saturday Morning Cartoons Greatest Hits double LP. This came out on CD in 1995, and I bought it, and I burned a hole through the CD. It was a weird time, if you guys remember, if you guys are my age or even older than me remember. 1995 it became like hip to be into like cartoons that like were on TV and but came off the air probably before you were born, or like when you were very, very young, you never HP Puffin stuff. Is that on here? Yeah, HR Puffin stuff. This at the time was a pretty crazy release because you got all the bands, the songs, and the reasoning. They talk about the cartoon itself, and then the reasoning the artist gives the idea of like why they chose that cartoon. That art is weird too. But let's get back in the time machine and go to 1995 because I'm going to list some bands here to tell you like this was kind of a big deal at the time, even for like indie rock, like the radio rock that wasn't like full blown, but like up and comers in 1995 or well known artists at 1995. So the first one you got Liz Phair doing the Tra La La song, Sponge, Mary Lou Lord with Semisonic, Matthew Sweet, Juliana Hatfield, Collective Soul, Butthole Surfers, Helmet, Ramones, Reverend Horton Heat, Frente, Violent Femmes are doing the Eep Up Orc means I love you from the Jetsons song. Dig, Face to Face is on here doing the Popeye song. Tripping Daisy, Toadies, Sublime, The Murmurs, and Wax. So I'll show this to you. I don't want to, so you can see who does what. So this was like kind of a big deal, if I remember correctly at the time. Like these were all like kind of well-known bands doing this comp of, like, I know the Ramones song I Burned a Hole In. This also comes in green and blue vinyl. I ordered this from someone on Discogs because all the record stores around. I went like 2 days after Record Store Day this year. Because like I knew the stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna wake up. I don't want to get into the whole Record Store Day beef with you guys. I mean, I can, but I won't. But I just like I don't really care about a lot of the stuff they put out. And when I saw that, I'm like, I remember the CD. I love the CD. I actually just found it in my basement when I was cleaning. I want to buy it on vinyl, but also I just want to talk about the retro weirdness of 1995, where I was 13. I was born in 82, so and there was kids that would come to school at 12 and 13 with like a Banana Splits lunchbox. It's like you never watched that show. But it just became MTV, I think, started airing reruns and became like hip to be like, maybe in an ironic way, it became like hip and cool to be in, like, it's still to this day, it's just something that very like, I know people kind of are still like that, like I was just saying, but it was just kind of interesting at the time because we were like real young and there's no way I knew what H&R Puff and stuff was, Ren and Stimpy, they do a Ren and Stimpy, that's my speed, the Ren and Stimpy song. And like, of course, I knew the Popeye song, but the Groovy Ghoulies and stuff, we never watched that. But yeah, that's a Saturday morning cartoon greatest hits. Next I have a bunch of 45s I'm going to show real quick. A bunch of these, this is from the Fat Record Sale. This is another No Use for a Name. They do a demo series on here. So it's Justified Black Eye and Sidewalk, the 94 demo and the 96 demo. So I think that Fat Records is kind of diving in the vault, pulling stuff out. These are no frills, there's no insert, it's just black vinyl, but that's a No Use for a Name demo series, Justified Black Eye and Sidewalk. The next is Off With Their Heads and Morning Glory. This was a split 7-inch. It came out in 2013. I'm a big Off With Their Heads fan. I've talked about them a couple times on the channel and showed their stuff. I never had this. They have like 8,000 splits. Like literally, it's insane. I never really listened to Morning Glory, and I dug them on this, so I'm going to dive a little deeper on them. But it's two Off With Their Heads. Some people call it ogrecore or whatever. It's kind of just gruff music. It's not rock and roll. It's not pop punk. It's in the middle. Morning Glory is kind of in the same vein, but I don't know much about them. I'm going to look more, but I bought this for the Off Of Their Head side, the Always Alone EP. Definitely check this out. It's cool. It's in the mix. It's going to be in the Spotify shuffle. Next I have the Teenage Bottle Rocket versus Human Robots split 7-inch that came out on Fat Records. Human Bottle Rocket are a leather jacket pop punk band that from Wyoming, if you like the Queers, that band, the Con Men I've talked about on here, Screeching Weasel, Masked Intruder, they're like that kind of stuff. And Human Robot's actually the guitar player's son playing all the instruments. So they just put out a split 7-inch of him and his, one side's a couple Teenage Bottle Rocket songs, and then Human Robot's his son. While they're recording the record Get Rad at the Blasting Room with Bill Stevenson from Descendants, who owns that, and he produces records there. So it's a cool little thing they put out. This just came out, in the fall. Definitely worth grabbing. Next I have this random bootleg of Bad Religion live in Germany. I bought from Doug. From Vantage Point, he does like a distro. I'll link it below. This is live in Germany. It's definitely a boot. There's no like remarks. Actually, no, there actually is. Very, very, very like simplistic 45. But the recording of this is actually pretty good. I'm willing to bet this has to be like the early 90s. But you got Frogger Along the Way, Do What You Want, You Are the Government, Yesterday's Suffer, Politics, and World War III on here. Just a nice little boot. I've seen these before. I don't know who's booting them. I think it's the same bootlegger, but whenever I see these, I try to grab them. Just cool little cornerstones for collections, things to throw on. And then finally, I have the Millencolin Lose and Must 7-inch. Millencolin are a pop punk band from Sweden. I think I wrote down where. Obero. I know I said that wrong. This came out in 1997. Lose and Must is a great song. Vixen's alright. They do a cover of Israelites on there that's like horrible. I'm sorry, you guys. It's real bad. But track 3 is from the album Life on a Plate. Track 1's from Monkeys. Track 2 is just a new one at the time. But this is like this came out on Burning. It's Burning Heart Records. Just a little simple 45 that I grabbed. Losing Must is a great song. This is definitely in the vein of like the cornier, like sugary pop punk stuff. But I've always been a fan of this band. Penny Bridge Pioneers is like a really awesome LP they put out. If you don't listen to this, check out Penny Bridge Pioneers. And that's it. I'll be back soon. I have tons of stuff. I just need to find time. Go to Boston Hassle, read the column, listen to pop punk. Don't be judgmental.